Did you think losing belly fat was going to be easy? I did. And when I first tried to get lean, I thought I just had to eat clean, train a lot, get a pump, cut out chocolate and sugar, and bam, I would wake up looking ripped. But after making many mistakes and then later competing in natural bodybuilding, I can tell you that is so far from the truth. I wasted years doing stuff that you've probably done before or doing now, like switching diets, overthinking every meal or ingredient, hoping that supplements will make fat loss faster and easier, and wondering why, no matter what I tried, the belly fat never really went away. So my intention is simple: to share lessons and hard truths that actually matter, so you don't waste years like I did. I make these videos for busy guys like my clients who have felt overwhelmed from all the confusing fat loss advice and just want a simple system that works without feeling starved or living in the gym every single day. Because if you're like most guys, you're probably tired of all the extreme all or nothing approaches, the influencer lies, the conflicting science, and starting over every couple of months or few years. So once you understand the 10 points in this video, fat loss will finally start to make sense. Point 1. Most people don't actually know how lean they could get because they've never spent enough time in an uninterrupted calorie deficit, like dieting for 2 weeks, then having a bad weekend, and then changing the plan, or going hard for 8 weeks, but then slacking off for 8 months. And you'd be shocked at how different your body could look if you treated fat loss like a long-term project instead of a 100-meter sprint. Patience is not a personality trait, it's a skill that anyone can build on the path. And I've found that people who say, I just need to lose 20, usually needs to drop another 10 to 20 on top of that before they actually look in the mirror and feel lean. Most guys massively underestimate how much really needs to go. Point 2, age, hormones, and genetics get blamed all the time, and they do matter, but most of the time, inconsistency and plan switching is the real problem. Even if you have low testosterone, insulin resistance, and are even pre-diabetic, that won't stop you from losing fat. It just makes it a little bit tougher because it doesn't matter how hard you train, how clean you eat, or how motivated you are. If you're not in a consistent calorie deficit, you're not going to lose fat. So if you're not losing fat, doubt your deficit, not everything else. Point 3, whether you like it or not, belly fat is usually the last place to go, especially the lower belly fat. And that is not a sign that you're doing something wrong, it's just biology. Men who carry more visceral fat tend to have a bulging belly for longer, even as everything leans out, which is usually a result of lower muscle mass, higher stress, shitty sleep, shitty food, and frequent alcohol. So if everything else is leaning out first, your face, chest, arms, and legs, and the belly's still hanging on, that is normal. And if you keep going, the belly will go too. Point 4, feeling like you're doing everything right doesn't guarantee that you will lose fat. Eating healthy without a structured deficit is still a guess. Or worse, hoping and praying, but fat loss isn't a religion. It's just a process. Even eating clean foods can still make you gain fat when the portions creep up. So just because you eat healthy and you walk on the treadmill every day, that doesn't mean you're in a deficit. You're in a deficit when your body has lost fat. That is the obvious sign. But it's hard to notice day to day, so taking photos is important to track your incremental progress on the journey. Point 5, having one bad day does not completely ruin all of your progress, but quitting and then restarting over and over again will. It's like the guy who's always starting a new business or job hopping every 6 months versus the guy who sticks to one thing for years. Who's going to be further ahead? Fat loss works pretty much the same way. The guys who get six-pack lean, they don't dick around. If they have one bad day, which everybody does, they compensate and get back on track tomorrow. Like James Clear says in Atomic Habits, never miss twice. Point 6, doing more training and more cardio doesn't always mean faster fat loss. A lot of people who cycle, hike, swim, play sports, and run a lot still struggle because their appetite gets jacked up and they eat more without realizing it, canceling out all that extra burn. Lots of cardio can cause big fluctuations in hydration, electrolytes, inflammation, water retention, so the scale will be deceiving at the best of times. You can still be super fit and overweight at the same time. And things can get even harder to navigate if this next thing is added to your life. Point 7. If you're overweight, your biology is already against you. So then, if you add high stress, bad sleep, and aggressive dieting, fat loss can easily backfire, especially if you have a hectic schedule most of the time. So stressing often means your cortisol levels are higher or sustained for longer in the body. Cortisol is proven to suppress leptin, this is the I'm full hormone, and increase ghrelin, which is the I'm hungry signal. So you're more hungrier, you eat more without realizing it, then you move less, you fidget less, and basically less unconscious movement and more fatigue. All this adds up. And then if your training drops off, muscle can disappear faster than you think. Then fat comes in to replace it. But here's the thing, losing belly fat isn't actually the hardest part, and I'll explain why. Point 8. If every fat loss solution actually solved this, we wouldn't have an obesity crisis. I'm not saying losing fat is easy, because it's not. But statistically, what's harder is not rebounding after you've lost it. Because if it were so easy, everyone would only have to lose fat once. Not even Ozempic or TRT can fix this long term. There's more to it than that. The issue is that most guys don't have a succession plan for the sustainability. So what gets you lean is different to the strategy that keeps you lean. But the good news is you only have to stay in a deficit until you reach your body fat percentage goal. The bad news is most people treat this as a finish line when they should be actually adjusting their system to be sustainable ongoing. So if I was starting from absolute scratch, I would make sure that the system I use to lose fat is one that I could manage forever to avoid rebounding later. Keeping it as simple and sustainable is an underrated tip, but the only way to do that is to implement this next thing. Point 9. If there's one legitimate hack that I'm confident in, it is this. See, feelings and opinions are the worst possible guides for making fat loss decisions. So tracking your biofeedback data will actually tell you what to do next. No more guessing, no blindly following old maid's diet and copy and pasting other people's plans. And people are getting tired of the tsunami of conflicting science coming out with new groundbreaking methods every fucking month. Should you eat 0.78 grams of protein or 0.835 grams at 43.5 at every single meal? Bro, just eat the fucking protein. So my point is, you can literally implement a scientific approach in everything that you do without relying on all this hypey overblown claims from influencers and supplement companies. So biofeedback data is the closest thing to having your own Jeeps to get you from Fat Island over to lean land. At the absolute minimum, that means tracking your scale trends, your calories and protein, your waist measurements, your steps, sleep, and your workouts. Because if the data isn't changing, you can see exactly what is going on and what to adjust. And this is what I do with my one-to-one clients every week, so they're held accountable to getting six-pack lean. Tracking your data builds a faster feedback loop with your programming and your execution without needing to go extreme with it. But then once you reach this level of clarity with the data, you still have to face the final boss. Point 10. Remember this, being overweight is an identity. Being a guy who's trying to lose fat is an identity. And being the guy who is lean is an identity. This is where most people lose everything they've worked for, because changing your identity is tough. You have to say no a lot. People may get pissed off, not because you're doing anything wrong to them, but just because your change forces them to look at themselves that they don't want to change. Some people will try to pull you back with food, alcohol, or saying, you just need to relax. They're not being malicious, they're just unconscious. Your success can feel like a threat or failure to other people who are too scared to change. So just don't focus on them. Keep reminding yourself, who are you becoming? Why are you becoming this way? And when this change is painful, embrace it, just like you would embrace a heavy set of bicep curls. Because if you do not sculpt your identity deliberately, you're going to default back to the old familiar, comfortable one that you've always known. And then nothing changes. Although this identity shift does actually happen naturally when you're following a data-driven program that actually fits in your lifestyle. If you do it for long enough, you make real progress. Eventually, you stop even thinking about who you used to be or how you used to live. The old you just falls away naturally. And if you're looking for support and accountability to get six-pack lean sustainably, my metabolic recomp method can be personalized to fit you. You can work with me one-on-one using the exact systems you just heard about in this video, built for busy guys who want sustainable results, but without the extreme diets or living in the gym every day. If you want to learn more, tap the link in the bio below. And if you want to keep going, watch this video next where I break down the 4 stages of losing belly fat that everyone goes through.